produce this on? Did I produce this on Restream last night? People are gonna love it. What a high energy intro for today.
Have we been live? For how long?
Yeah, we're live. Cool, dope. What's going on, everybody? Didn't realize
For
I
how
changed my
long?
settings back. Totally forgot that I produced a PGA show last night. I had to change some stuff on the back end because of being live before lock and being just on YouTube to not overlap with MLB. But I forgot I did the PGA show, so I set everything back to where it was supposed to be.
Well, hey,
Figure
Josh,
out how everything was working.
How long have we been live?
1 minute and 9 seconds.
Okay, that's okay. That's all right. I'm all right with that.
Never before anything else.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
no.
1 minute and 9 seconds sounds good. All right.
From the time that I said, like, let's do this, and we had that big bout of, like, extended silence.
Yeah.
That extended silence was when it started.
Okay.
What's going on, everybody? Here we are. Thursday, April 11th. And the most exciting part of this, I had a relatively normal morning for the first time since early October because I didn't have to worry about NBA at all. It just wasn't on the table. A very nice feeling. And I'm excited for NBA playoffs. As much as I hate the end of the NBA regular season, I have the opposite feeling for playoff basketball. I cannot wait to watch the playoffs.
Me neither. It was fun yesterday. And it was great looking through some of the box scores. Like DeLon Wright had another triple-double.
Yeah.
Boban Marjanovic was close to a damn triple-double. Like just some of the games were ridiculous.
Did you see the rotation for the Blazers last night?
No.
Basically everybody played 48 minutes. They scratched everybody right at lock.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
for the most part.
Well, Tim Frazier started his second game of the season and played 48 minutes. In his first game, he played 53 minutes in an overtime game. So he's started 2 games and literally played every single minute available. And then who else was it? Oh, I know who it was. Anthony Simmons had 37 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists.
He played all 48 minutes. He played all 48 minutes. Gary Trent played all 48. Jake Layman played all 48. They played 6 guys yesterday.
Gary Trent Jr. played all 48.
They should get fined for that garbage.
That's
disgusting. For that to come out at 10:28 or whatever is embarrassing for the league.
I mean, you know what? Let them do what they want. It's the last game of the season, man. And if anyone's wondering, I don't really care if you are. I'm going to tell you anyway. Your matchups are because, man, we had a fun time following this. This was a fun race.
I love the NBA season ends. We are stoked about it. And the first thing we do is lead off the MLB show with NBA talk. We are the worst at this together.
We're terrible, but I know you're going to have to go along with this.
Yeah, I would rather do it.
Warriors Clippers. I like that. It's a shame the Clippers finished 8th, though. I thought they could do a bit better. Rockets, Jazz, Blazers, Thunder. I love this matchup. I think this is going to be a really fun match. Did the Thunder somehow come up and nab that 6th seed? I think they did.
They did indeed.
They did.
Yeah.
All right. And then Denver, San Antonio. That should be fun. And then in the East, Milwaukee, Detroit, that's a 4-game sweep. Boston, Indiana, Sixers, Brooklyn. By the way, this is the last matchup you should have wanted if you're the Sixers because, dude,
really? I love it for the Sixers.
They had so much trouble against the Nets this season. It was embarrassing. I think they lost 3 or 4 to them with everybody healthy.
Yeah, they don't want Brooklyn doesn't want any part of Embiid in a playoff series.
I mean, of course,
bad. He's going to break Jared Allen's soul.
Embiid will destroy them down low. Yeah. No question about it. They may even bring Ed Davis in. But there was something about the net. You know what it is? When the Nets are getting up there, they do a good job of preventing 3-point shooting. So, you know, if they're shooting well from 3 and preventing threes, they're good. But when they're not hitting their threes, they're toast. Point was though that I would, if I'm a Sixers fan, I would have rather played the Pistons or the Magic and get rid of it early. But
so I said yesterday that I thought the Pistons would be a really bad matchup for the Sixers. It doesn't really matter because Blake's not healthy. They're not like they are the best matchup because they're missing a healthy like best piece of their team.
Right.
But getting guys that handle the ball a lot in the backcourt, the Reggie Jacksons, the Ish Smith, kind of like mildly kryptonite for the Sixers this year. Blake is really good. They don't really have like a good answer for Blake. And then, maybe Drummond finally gets it together against Embiid. Like I saw where the pieces fit on the opposite side.
But they don't have
enough for it to matter.
And they don't have the backcourt. Like, let's not pretend that Reggie Jackson and Ish Smith are the guys that are going to do that damage. The guys that can do that damage are D'Angelo Russell and Spencer Dinwiddie. What?
Are we really considering D'Angelo Russell to be anything other than what he's always been?
I am, yeah. I thought he had a really good season, and I thought he had a breakout season, actually. They don't have the interior defense, but, I mean...
I bet it looks a lot different if he doesn't make the All-Star team in a season where he shouldn't have made the All-Star
played
team.
Really well to get them in a playoff spot. Especially when Dinwiddie was out. Yeah, I think D-Russ had a great season, man.
I am not a believer in him.
All right.
Look, he was fine. He's like the 5th best player on the Nets.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Okay.
The 5th best player on the Nets? Okay, because you're going to regret this statement.
Sure.
Go ahead. Give me the 4 best players on the Nets and then D'Angelo Russell.
Okay.
And then we can talk baseball for all of you guys clamoring.
Sure. Okay, so Spencer Dinwiddie, for sure, for me, is a better basketball player than D'Angelo Russell. I think every single person in the league would take Dinwiddie before they took Russell.
What are you okay, go ahead. Well, I'll give you that. Go ahead.
You think that piece is crazy?
I think D'Angelo Russell's a really good basket. Go ahead. I'll give, like I said, I'll give you that.
Okay.
Give me 2, 3, and 4 on the Nets.
God, this is... I don't even know how I'm going to be able to justify this, but I truly believe this. Bro. I truly believe what I'm about to say. This is going to be... okay. If I'm building a team, I would rather have Ed Davis than D'Angelo Russell. I mean that sincerely. I'm not saying that I take Ed Davis first to lead me to glory.
All right, give me 3 and 4. Give me 3 and 4, dude.
Okay.
Give me Jared Dudley. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, who's been garbage. I had a lot of hope for him, but there's no way I'm putting him above D-Russ after what I've seen. Give me 3 and 4. Joe Harris? You want Joe Harris? Jared Allen?
I think that Jared, when all is said and done, Jared Allen will have a better NBA career than D'Angelo Russell.
Come on, Josh. Now you're just going off.
Hell, I'd probably rather have Damari Carroll. That one's just a joke.
Oh, man.
Look, you can make a case that D'Angelo Russell is the 3rd best guard on the Nets.
No, you cannot. You cannot.
Has he ever been better than Shabazz Napier?
Oh, okay. Now you're just trolling me.
That one I mean, actually.
Wait, you're serious? The D'Angelo
Shabazz
Russell.
Napier grading out better in player impact plus minus this year than D'Angelo Russell. Just FYI.
Because he's played 2 minutes a game.
Sure.
All right. Let's talk some baseball because this you've had some wild takes. To say that Ed Davis, Shabazz Napier, Spencer Dinwiddie, and I don't think you named the 4th, are all better than D'Angelo Russell is a true absurdity. And that's why I love doing shows with you.
I mean exactly what I say. D'Angelo Russell might be the most overrated player in the NBA. His season was nothing. Absolutely nothing.
No, it was something. When you score 28 points in the 4th quarter to come back on the road and win a must-win game, it's something. And he's had some big games. He's had some impact moments all year long.
Yeah, maybe those shots just fell for the first time ever.
Okay, so when he does something good, it's just luck.
Yes, I think so. I think he's very much proven that it wasn't very good before that.
He's only been in the league a few years.
Yeah. Not interested.
All right.
Not interested. He will never win. He'll never win anything in the NBA.
By the way, made you wish that Josh is obviously trolling. No, he's not. He's not trolling. That's why I'm entertaining this conversation.
Yeah, no, he's
not trolling.
He's meh. He's meh. That's it. He's like what, the 50th best point guard in the league?
I mean, now you might not be. You might not be trolling, but I know you weren't trolling about your initial statement.
Not at all. Who's around him? Like, I can't even say some of these things. Depending on what I'm trying to do, I'd probably take Corey Joseph before him.
Dude, move to baseball now before we
Alrighty. Alrighty, fine. MLB Strategy is the promo code. You wouldn't know that off the top of this show. The D'Angelo Russell deep dive that went fully unplanned.
Not good. I mean, it is good, but the take is bad.
I couldn't be more right. God, that was fun. MLB Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Any package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. All you have to do is sign up using that code and you get 50% off. You really can't beat it. And now we are brought to you by, drumroll, same thing we've been brought to you by for a couple of days, Yahoo Sports. We are very happy to have a partnership with Yahoo as of right now. Yahoo is set up for like the everyman. 10 max, no scripting. You can clearly delineate who's been playing a lot, who doesn't play a lot. You can block people just in case you're trying to get away from the quote unquote sharks. There's a quick match feature, so you can get into a bunch of head-to-heads at different dollar levels, and they'll put you against people that have similar experience. It's really a great site. It's the best site to start with because of the structure, because of the way the tournaments are set up, because of the tournaments they run with no management fee. If I'm starting out in DFS, like that's the site that I want to put my first money into. And that's not even just a plug. It's to find contests that don't have any fees involved is huge. That should be the first place everybody puts their money every day if they're playing for that slate. So shout out to Yahoo for running good contests.
For sure. Hey, Josh, your daily news that you had no idea about, Winter Storm Wesley is hammering the plains. And I was just looking it up here, and the snow total was 18 inches. And in a place called, it's MUD space BUTTE, and I thought it was called Mud Butt, and look, it's MUD space BUTTE, right? So at first look,
Mud Butte,
it's Butte, correct, but it looks like Mud Butt, South Dakota. So we've got a winter blizzard going on, Josh. I just thought I'd fill you in before we get started.
I don't believe in blizzards, just like I don't believe in D'Angelo Russell.
Thunder snow. You ever been in thunder snow? It's a very fun time.
Thunder snow?
Yes, like a thunderstorm, except it's snowing and thundering.
Oh,
and
I don't know.
I just thought I'd keep you up to date.
Thank you.
I try to do the right thing around here.
Now we're 15 minutes in, thanks to that D'Angelo Russell debacle.
Yep.
We're gonna hit both slates. We're gonna try to go through it pretty quickly. We have ownership out for both. I've run crunches for both. So let's just dive in, tackle it right now. What do you say?
Let's get it done, baby.
Orioles and A's. Orioles 4.3 run implied total. A's 5.2. It's a 59% chance to win for the A's. Dylan Bundy going for Baltimore. Aaron Brooks going for Oakland. A's offense has just been insane. And
Crazy.
They are in my opinion, clear best option again on the early slate. I have 3 times the field right now on FanDuel. I cannot get enough of them. These guys are so underpriced. The reason that I'm leading with the bats is I don't have much interest in Dylan Bundy or Aaron Brooks, but I don't know. This could be a misprint. How do you feel about Dylan Bundy today?
I mean, I think Dylan Bundy's a good pitcher. It really all comes down though to what his matchup looks like, what the weather is, who's behind the plate. Dylan Bundy's a guy that I'm not just going to jump on. But the biggest thing too is what's the field going to do when it comes to Dylan Bundy with guys like him and Gossman and Darvish and Syndergaard, when they're chalky, you just get away from them and go elsewhere. Bundy's been that type of guy too. Right now, it got cold in the Northeast today. It was really nice. We got lucky for a few days, and now we're back to being cold again. But with Bundy against Oakland, if Oakland's here's my guess, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Do we don't have ownership yet, do we?
Oh, we do. Dylan Bundy projected for 31% ownership.
See, that's nuts. I would have thought that's nuts, right? I would have thought
like thinking D'Angelo Russell's good. He's kind
I
of like
would've
the
thought
perfect example for Dylan Bundy too. Guys that were highly drafted, highly touted, but actually garbage.
He's not garbage. I can't get into this with you. I'm just going to go along with it and call him garbage. I can't. I don't have time.
It's too much fun. It's too much fun.
He's faced the Yankees twice, each of his first two starts. Facing Oakland. What's crazy to me is I would have thought it'd be the other way around. I would have thought that Oakland would be a really popular stack again, but that's not the case. So if Oakland was going to be the chalk stack, I was going to tell you, yeah, I have no problem with Bundy, because really it's just a leverage thing. It's not about the numbers. The numbers will tell you that Dylan Bundy can have good games and does have enough strikeout upside to have good games against righty heavy teams. But also that he's going to give up a ton of home runs. I mean, that's why I can't believe that he's projected to have this much ownership against a powerful Oakland team. Last year, he allowed 2.3 home runs per nine to righties, 1.9 to lefties, 17% K rate against lefties. He struck righties out at 31%. So that's where the appeal that comes from. That's the allure. I get that. But still, a big-time fly ball rate and a ton of home runs. I'm kind of blown away that he's projected to have that much ownership on this slate, and thought it would be the other way around. I really did.
Yeah,
highest total on the slate is Oakland at 5.3.
Yeah, this one blows my mind.
Right?
I have no idea what anybody's doing if that is the ownership for Dylan Bundy on DK.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. And I'm not even saying he can't have a good game here. I think he can, but at 30% ownership, there's no way. Why?
I have no idea.
I would much rather, I'll tell you right now, I would rather go to a similarly owned Spencer Turnbull against Cleveland. I'll tell you that right now.
You probably wouldn't.
No, but I really would.
Same ownership.
I said similarly owned.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, it's cool. I'm saying, like, if
I heard priced, and I was just like, well, they're.
Well, they are similarly priced too.
Right.
But I mean, if I'm going to go to one of these guys with similar ownership, I'll go to Turnbull, not because I think he's markedly better, but because I think the power potential for Cleveland here is less than it is for Oakland, and that Turnbull is probably less likely to come out here and get blowed up. So, yeah.
I love the Oakland bats. I've been smashing them on FanDuel every day. Today will be no different.
How do you not?
They're so cheap. Chris Davis is $4,000 on FanDuel. That's stupid.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I got 62% Chris Davis on my crunch this morning.
Sounds good to me.
I mean, what more do you want here? 5.2 run implied total. They're checking off every box.
Kendrys Morales kept me from having a big night last night. In Oakland stacks, he was you had Chapman, you had Profar, you had Chris Davis, you had Pinder, and Kendrys has just been brutal. Like, I guess you just got to keep going back to him here, but it hasn't been much fun, Josh. While the rest of this team is lighting opposing pitchers up, Kendrys Morales has just been brutal.
How do you feel about any Orioles bats? You gonna get to $500 Chris Davis on FanDuel? In the lineup, by the way.
He is in the lineup. It's not the craziest thing. I mean, it really isn't. I had mentioned this on the deep dive the deeper dive yesterday that Chris Davis, have you seen his Yahoo price?
He's $1.
Uno dollar, yeah.
Yeah.
$1.
It's like breaking formulas for me for being a buck.
It's wild. DraftKings finally followed suit and dropped him to 2K yesterday. He's 2,200. They're the only one that's saying, look, we'll put him at minimum salary, but we're not going to make him free.
Yeah.
If the guy's free batting seventh, it's not crazy at all to play him. But Chris Davis is another one of these guys that probably will have ownership. Yesterday, before he was out of the lineup, was projected to have a ton of it. So
for me here, I'm relatively neutral on the Orioles. I'm not really playing any Chris Davis. I have 3%. The public's only at 6 on FanDuel.
I think that'll change. I think that changes though. Now that lineups have been released, don't you think? Because the ownership came out before lineups were released. He hadn't started in 2 straight games.
I would guess no. I mean, nothing crazy, but I'll be honest, I don't really know the answer to that.
Yeah, me neither.
So I'm fine with the Orioles. I'm relatively neutral there. I'm not worried about Aaron Brooks. He doesn't miss bats, which is kind of appealing in that at least we should get a bunch of balls in play from Baltimore. But the Oakland bats, particularly on FanDuel, but across the board, any site, doesn't matter. They should be the biggest priority of anything you're doing on the early slate.
I agree. And by the way, we had a question from Dave in Slack chat. He said, aside from Davis, is it worthwhile to treat it as a quote unquote drop score and pay up elsewhere? I get what you're saying. The only thing that bothers me is if it were at like shortstop or second base, I'd be so much more inclined to be okay with that than at first base, where you're just, it's loaded with power. Yeah. That's the thing that sucks about it. Like if Chris Davis was catcher eligible, I'm not kidding when I say I'd play him every single day.
Yeah.
Play him every day at a terrible position.
Yeah. The problem with that in baseball is that, like, if it's in basketball and you get a guy that's priced at $500 instead of the $3,500 minimum on FanDuel. Let's ignore that you can drop the lowest player. You're assuming that those $3,500 guys in the NBA are also going to put up 0. Whereas in baseball, a minimum salary guy in baseball can be the highest scorer every single day of the year. Nothing is stopping anybody. Everybody has the same sort of opportunities going in. So I don't need to save $1,500 for that just to treat it as just to get an extra $1,500 somewhere else, because you can play lineups in baseball and leave $3,000 on the table. And it doesn't change your outlook.
Don't you think you could look at that from the other way around though? He's still going to see the same amount of plate appearances as everybody else, and he's well below the minimum. So you're getting.
I'm not saying that he's not a really good value and that he should be used, but I wouldn't just plug him in blindly because it gives me an extra $1,500 somewhere else.
I see. Right. No. That's fair. Yeah. And what I'm saying on the other side is that this guy might be terrible, but he's still going to see the same opportunities as everybody else. It's a.
We were getting questions about using him on days where he wasn't playing to get that extra $1,500 in your lineup, and that's just lunacy in baseball.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless it's the catcher position on DraftKings at this point. When their pricing was like it was, my God, I considered it. I'm not even gonna lie. That wasn't going through with it, but I was considering it when like the only decent catcher you could play was $4,000 and he was batting 9th. I mean, that to me was untenable, Josh. But
you can definitely leave $3,000 on the table if you're max entering. We're getting people in the chat saying like that's craziness. I mean, look, that's a lot.
Saying what's craziness?
Leaving $3,000 on the table.
Did you recommend? Did you say that to do that?
I mean, I just threw out the number 3,000. Like that's aggressive. I leave 2,000 constantly in baseball.
Really?
Yeah. Otherwise, you're forcing yourself into a very specific roster construction.
Yeah.
You'll never have 2 teams that are just cheap together. But that has that has nothing to. Their price has nothing to do with what they can do on a given day.
Yeah, I guess
it's so different in baseball.
I was just thinking DraftKings pricing earlier in the season, you were not going to get a lot of that. They just changed it and adjusted it.
DraftKings lineup construction and having two pitchers makes that way more difficult because of the way that you can move people around. I should have been a little bit more specific in saying FanDuel, where everything is super firm and there's one pitcher. Like, you could put your pitcher in and get two cheap stacks, leave $2,500. That there's no need to change that because that stack can be the exact same thing.
Right. No, I hear you.
DK is different because of the way that the rosters are constructed. You're less likely to leave that much salary on the table.
Right. For the Orioles, though, but yeah, so we can move on here. They have a 4.3 run total. It's right in the middle of this slate.
Yeah.
I'm very take it or leave it on them. There's no one on the Orioles that I really love today. Like if it's just Cedric Mullins is leading off, and he's what $3,800 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's $2,400. I believe isn't he like 12 on Yahoo? I think he's really cheap. I gotta pull it up.
12, yeah.
12, yeah. So I get it. There's nobody that's a priority for me there.
Same. I mean, Davis grades out weird. I would say across the board, VR is the number one play from Baltimore. And I have neutral interest in Baltimore, but Oakland from top to bottom, I'm in.
Yeah. And honestly, like Mullins, Dwight Smith, VR, Mancini, Rio Ruiz, you got 5 lefties there. You have Chris Davis, 7. I have a different tone. If I really liked top tier pitching and I wanted to pay for 2 guys like above 10K, I'd say, you know what, against Aaron Brooks, I don't have a problem getting some Baltimore stacks in where they have the platoon advantage and one of their guys is below minimum salary on most sites, but you don't really have to do that on this early slate.
No, not at all. Move on to the Reds game.
Let's do it.
Reds and Marlins, 4.7 run implied total for the Reds, 3.8 for the Marlins, 61% chance to win for Cincinnati. Sonny Gray on the bump for the Reds. Pablo Lopez going for Miami. I've got quite a bit of Sonny Gray, as does the public. 26% expected ownership on FanDuel, 38 on DraftKings. I got 33 on FanDuel. I think he looks like a really nice option here. Lots and lots of swing and miss in the Marlins projected lineup. So I'm cool with going to Sonny Gray, even though it's not the most advantageous park in the world.
So we do have the Marlins lineup.
Oh, we do? Did that just drop now?
I must have a couple minutes ago, yeah. Granderson, Anderson, Walker, Castro, Rojas, Brinson, O'Brien, Wallach, and Lopez.
Oh, God. We got 4 lineups since we started.
Yeah.
We only had A's and Orioles when I clicked start streaming.
I know. Yeah, now we got KC, Cincy, Miami, Detroit. I'm not going to go to Sonny Gray here.
Okay. Well, talk to me then.
I will. If you're talking about now, ownership is tough to deal with on these slates because a lot of these guys on 2 pitcher sites are going to be really popular, right? And there's not much you can do about it. The thing about Sonny Gray is I think Yankee Stadium, or I think Great American is going to treat him similarly to Yankee Stadium, where he had such dramatic splits and for pretty obvious reasons. So, last year you look at how Sonny Gray fared at and away from Yankee Stadium. He was an entirely different pitcher. At home, he was allowing a 399 WOBA. On the road, 274. At home, a 212 ISO. On the road, 0.097 ISO. I'll go one further. At home, 15% strikeouts. On the road, 26% strikeouts. The numbers just get worse and worse. 1.67 home runs per 9 at home to 0.38 home runs per 9 on the road. So on and so forth. Hard hit rate, everything else, home run per fly ball, you name it. They were all way up. His last start came, I believe, at PNC Park. His first start, he didn't get out of the 3rd. That was at Great American. This is a very small sample, totally understandable. But I definitely think that Citizens Bank, Great American Ballpark, I just feel like it's going to give him a lot of trouble. It's going to be creeping up to 80 degrees during this game in one of the best hitter parks known to man. If he's going to be 40% owned, I'm going to go elsewhere. And again, I'm not just saying it because of the ownership, but it's enough for me to say I'll go elsewhere.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't blame you for playing him,
though. I'm not super confident in anything on this early slate. Sonny Gray is the third most expensive pitcher on DraftKings today at $8,900, $1,000 less than Shane Bieber. He is sixth on FanDuel. And that's part of the appeal for me. He's just simply priced way too cheap. Like, Spencer Turnbull should not be ahead of him. Mike Leake should not be ahead of him. Michael Wacha should not be ahead of him.
That's debatable.
Is it?
I mean, yeah, I don't think any of them are very good, including Sonny Gray.
I think the DK pricing is more realistic than the FanDuel pricing.
The DK pricing definitely makes it easier for me to get away from him. I'll tell you that one.
Agreed. Yeah, if he's $7,300 on FanDuel and he's $2,400 cheaper than Shane Bieber, I'd rather have Sonny Gray.
Yeah, no, look, I'm fine with that. I probably won't, but I get it. And just going back to yesterday, Kenta Maeda was basically unowned. It didn't work out, but I'll go back to that all season long and do that over again. If you're going to get Kenta Maeda against the righty heavy lineup, completely unowned, right? I had some Kenta Maeda, but here's the thing, that didn't work. Also had a lot of Jack Flaherty and Colin McHugh, who were, all guys that were lower than guys like Noah Syndergaard. The guy that was high owned that I was okay with was Robbie Ray, just because of how terrible that lineup was. But just from a thought process standpoint, from an approach perspective, there are certain guys that when they're going to be really popular, that more likely than not, they won't kill you if you don't have them. And look, it is Miami, so I get what you're saying here. I totally do. But I'm also okay with knowing that if fading Sonny Gray at Great American Ballpark kills me, then I can live with that decision. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
Eric in YouTube chat said wind is blowing in Cincy, which is a little interesting to me. The bottom half of this order for the Marlins: Lewis Brinson 25% K rate, Peter O'Brien 36, Chad Wallach 30, and then Pablo Lopez.
Blowing in at like 8 miles per hour, by the way.
I just mean better than blowing out.
Yeah, no, look, I get it, but it's also 80. It's going to be 80 degrees too.
That'll probably offset the wind. Yeah, that's. Those bottom four guys, he can mow them down.
No question. Look, it is a good matchup.
That's my pitch.
It is a good matchup. I'm not taking anything away from them. You guys, you want to play Sonny Gray, go ahead, play Sonny Gray. I'm not saying that it's a bad idea. I'm just saying that I'm not, particularly high on it. Honestly, well, we don't have the lineup yet, but for a night to day game, it's possible we see 7 righties in the lineup for the Cardinals. And, yeah, I would be okay with Walker Buehler too.
For sure.
Like I said, dude, they're a dangerous lineup. Kenta Maeda had risk.
Yeah.
Jack Flaherty had risk.
Yeah.
So did Colin McHugh. James Paxton had risk. I liked James Paxton as a tournament pivot at low ownership.
So did I.
Right. And James Paxton wasn't good.
Nope.
But that doesn't take away from Jack Flaherty was really good, right? Colin McHugh was a lot lower owned in a lot of spots. He was really good. So a lot of the guys that weren't Noah Syndergaard gave up 4 runs across 7. He wasn't great.
No.
Just a similar approach here, although we do have less pitchers that we can get to at low ownership.
You interested in the bats here? I have both of these teams ranking behind the Orioles and the A's for today. I don't get the sense that I'll get to any sort of volume. I think Puig looks pretty good on all 3 sites. 2,500 FanDuel, 3,800 DK, $10 on Yahoo. I don't know, maybe Neil Walker on the Marlins is my quote unquote favorite play. 2,100 on FanDuel, 3,500 with dual eligibility on DK, $11 on Yahoo. ultimately, I'm just not super interested in this game from a batting perspective. Although the Reds are quite popular on FanDuel.
I mean, I can see that. I also know that Pablo Lopez, at least my expectations are that you're going to see more strikeouts from him than you did last season. Uh, although I thought that he was going to cut down on sinker usage, and then he threw a ton of them against Atlanta. That may just have to do with the fact that he had a lot of men on base and didn't against Colorado, so he didn't have to rely on getting ground balls. That could actually have had a lot to do with it. Uh, Cincinnati bats here at home, good temperatures. Yeah, I like the Reds. There's the one thing that DraftKings had been pricing them pretty high, but now they're not that expensive at all. Like, look at some of the prices on these guys, and you're getting, pretty much across the board outside of Eugenio Suarez. Everybody else is pretty affordable.
Yeah.
Most of them below 4K or at 4K. That to me is pretty nice. So yeah, I like them against Lopez.
Yeah, like I'll have, I don't know, just slightly less than the public if I had to guess.
I'm also not totally opposed to getting some Miami exposure. If I'm going to do it, I'm not one-offing it. I would just full out stack this team because that's going to make a huge, huge difference if all that Sonny Gray ownership goes down in flames and you've got the team against him. It's obviously risky because it's the Marlins and they are not good whatsoever.
No.
But if his rates are anything close to what they were at Yankee Stadium, then we're in business.
For sure. Yeah, I'll have some Marlins just as a hedge to the Gray ownership. They don't grade out all that well.
No, it's not about them grading out well at all.
But they're not. I mean, they're in the middle of the pack for me, so that's all I need, and they're hella cheap. But as they should be. There are guys in that lineup that aren't real MLB hitters.
This is true.
At least two of them.
This is definitely true.
Alrighty, moving on. This is another team that is really grading out poorly. The Tigers hosting the Indians. 3.6 run implied total for the Tigers. 3.9 for the Indians. 54% chance to win for Cleveland. Spencer Turnbull on the hill for the Tigers. Shane Bieber, Justin's brother, going for Cleveland. Bieber popular on both sites or on all sites. He's probably like the best quote unquote pitcher. He's not the best DFS pitcher, more of a control guy. Not gonna miss as many bats as the high end guys. Less prone to get like totally blown up. So I'll have some Bieber, but he's not all that appealing for me on this slate. I think there's more upside in other arms. Tigers bats are atrocious. But talk to me about Spencer Turnbull since you were pitching him earlier today.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're talking about him in relation to the rest of the slate, you're not getting much of a downgrade here, and you're getting a pretty solid matchup. I mean, this has been an Indians team. I mean, you talked about the Tigers being a bad offense, and you're not wrong by any stretch, but let's not act like this Cleveland team has been impressive either, because they haven't. They just don't have all of that much pop. They're not that scary with the guys that they've lost, and not being fully healthy right now. I think a guy like Turnbull makes plenty of sense. And if Bundy's going to be that high owned at Camden Yards against an Oakland team that's just been ravaging opponents, then I don't have an issue going to Turnbull. So I mean, that's really all it is for me. The Indians this season, we're starting to get 250 to 400 plate appearances for all these teams.
Yeah.
27.2% K rate against righties. That is fifth highest in the league thus far. So I like that. Their ISO sitting at 138 is 25th in the league, and their weighted on base average is a unbelievable 254. Only the Giants have been worse against right-handed pitching this season than the Cleveland Indians. So yeah, I think Turnbull has plenty of upside here. And looking at his rates, like, he has a 13% swinging strike rate through his first two games. I like that. I like that a lot. And I think he has the arsenal at least to give you a decent game. He throws a curve and a slider at a decent clip and a lot of four seamers. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at against, two bad offenses here.
Yeah, I would have no issue using Turnbull on DraftKings. I don't get the sense that I'll get to a lot on FanDuel, just not grading out as well for me. But I think he's perfectly like I have him and Bundy as pretty comparable on DK, so I would be getting there.
Yeah, his slider is very good.
FanDuel less interesting. How do you feel about Bieber? I just can't imagine recommending him before Walker Buehler.
Yeah, well, two things. The matchup is and by the way, Marlins had the highest K rate thus far. Their active roster against righties. So, I mean, if you're looking at Sonny Gray like you are, that definitely doesn't hurt you at all. With Bieber, yeah, he has a much better matchup. Is he better than Buehler? Probably not, but he has a much better matchup here. So that would be one thing to consider. Temperature is also very, very chilly, 43 degrees in Detroit. Yeah, clear, good pitching weather, or at least bad hitting weather. I should say just bad hitting weather. I like Bieber. I don't think it's too difficult to get to him here. I like both pitchers from this game, and I'm probably this will be a game that I target a lot of pitching. Lowest total on the slate is Detroit 3.6, and Cleveland is one of the lowest at 4 even. So yeah, I like this game for pitching, not for hitting at all.
Yeah, Bieber's a guy that I'll just take whatever I get. He'll never be a guy that I try to get on purpose or like make changes to get more or less of. He's just like a completely functional above average starting pitcher, but way better in real life than he is in DFS.
That's a fair take.
Yeah. As for the bats, the Tigers look atrocious. Only reason that I'll get to any sort of Tiger stacks is just as like a 1 or 2 hedge stacks for Bieber's ownership, but otherwise these guys are bad.
That would be it for me too. Hitting is not somewhere that I'm gonna go with any confidence here whatsoever.
No, they look really rough. I just have zero interest in the Tigers. For the Indians, they were like my 4th most exposed stack before we got all those lineups. We just got the Indians lineup, I think. Martin, Ramirez, Bowers, Santana, Hanley, Naquin. Okay, so Plawecki is catching. Good to know. I'll have a little bit of Indians, but I'm not terribly enamored with them either. This just isn't that appealing of a game. You mentioned the weather. You guys can see the run total. We touched on that. It's not projecting as a game that's going to have a terribly large amount of offense.
No, not at all. It's also a game where you have 2 offenses again that have really been subpar, and that might be putting it lightly. So just pitching for me in this one, Josh.
Yep, same. I would be fine having like little combos of Leonis Martin, Ramirez, or Jake Bowers. They're all grading out really well on FanDuel. 2 $2,700 outfielders. Jose Ramirez, a $3,600 shortstop option. Or third base option, rather. So I have no problem going to any of those 3 guys, but full-on stacking the Indians isn't very appealing to me.
Fair enough.
Cardinals hosting the Dodgers. 3.9 run implied total for the Cardinals, 4.6 for the Dodgers. It's a 57% chance to win for LA. Michael Waka going for St. Louis. Walker Buehler going for the Dodgers. I wish I didn't do that, but can't take it back now.
Nothing you can do.
Don't really anticipate getting to Waka at all. He grades out as, I don't know, my 2nd worst pitcher of the day. Not from like an overall standpoint, but relative to his salary. It's just not a guy that I'm going to be getting to. I don't get the sense that I'd be getting to him much on DraftKings either. He's not owned really on either site. So the guy that I'd be looking at is Walker Buehler. He is the clear top option for me on this slate. That would be the guy that I would want the most. How do you feel about Waka and Buehler?
Michael Waka is a guy that I just very rarely have any interest in.
Mm-hmm.
As far as just flat out average pitching goes, he's just totally average. in every sense. So I just don't like playing this guy. Uh, I don't believe we have a Dodgers lineup, right?
Not that I'm aware of, unless it
Or
just happened.
no, I don't see either.
Dodgers, Cardinals, Mariners are the three we need still.
Yeah, yeah. I no, I just don't. I don't see the upside for Waka here, and that's kind of what it comes down to. Especially at his price point, it's going to be hard for me to get there. You know, he does have 14 strikeouts over his first 2 games. Josh, he has walked 12 batters.
It's not good.
12.
That's not good.
Oh, by the way, did you see the Mets yesterday? I tweeted this because I found it fascinating. I'm looking through the box score. I couldn't believe what I saw. They scored 9 runs.
Mhm.
They had 5 hits, all of them singles. And the Twins had no errors. How about that? No errors for the Twins. Mets scored 9 runs on 5 hits, all of them singles. Here's why.
Wow.
Here's why. The Twins walked 10 batters.
Oh my God, so many base runners.
Crazy.
Just imagine how bad that could have been if somebody was hitting anything other than a single.
I think there were 18 total walks in that game.
Oosh.
Horrible viewing experience if you're the fans. I mean, that's got to be so slow and grueling and boring. But the Dodgers are walking at the 3rd highest clip this season against righties. You know, small sample or not, they're a pretty patient team. Go back to last year, since the start of last season, they're walking at the 2nd highest clip against righties in baseball, and that's across a much larger sample, 10.5%, second to only the Indians. Yeah, to me, that is something that we should be concerned about if you're targeting Michael Wacha. I just can't have him, you know, walking 5 guys or 4 batters again and not getting through 5 or 6 innings. You know, he faced San Diego in his first start or second start, Milwaukee in his first one. I'll give him credit there. Well, I'll give credit where it's due. But I don't think you're going to have the same amount of breathing room here against the Dodgers.
No, not at all. Buehler, though, massive stuff. 10.4 Ks per 9 via steamer, a 335 FIP. That's a full run less than Michael Wacha. It's not like the best strikeout matchup in the world. It's relatively average, but I'm still cool with that. Nobody offers the same sort of strikeout upside on the slate as Buehler. I have Buehler with the highest strikeout projected amount of strikeouts today. I'm a little surprised that he's only the 3rd most owned pitcher on FanDuel. He's behind Sonny Gray. He's behind Shane Bieber. I just cannot imagine wanting to take Bieber before I took Buehler. So I love Walker Buehler, favorite of mine.
People really don't like picking on the Cardinals, and I understand that. They're a tough team, a tough lineup, but you know, this season they're striking out at 27% against righties. Even if you go back to the start of last season, they were still top 12 in strikeouts, you know, 22.5%. There are strikeouts in this lineup. It's just a matter of whether or not Walker Buehler is going to get hit for power, which is very possible. I still agree with you, though, that in terms of talent and upside, he definitely has it. His first couple outings have been really rough. There's no question. I mean, he went 3 innings with 0 strikeouts against Arizona in his first start, and that is not exactly a potent Arizona offense. I'm going to go ahead and assume that everything is okay. Right? But let's just hope everything is okay, because there were a few things there that had me scratching my head a bit. That's all I can say. Now, his last start in Colorado, he gave up only 1 run. That makes you feel a little bit better. And his velocity this season is actually up a little bit from last year. I'm not worried at all about Walker Buehler, and he's going to get a bunch of righties. So I'm on board. I'm with you here.
Okay. For bats, Matt Carpenter is really the only guy that I truly like from St. Louis. 3,300 on FanDuel, 4,200 on DK, $16 on Yahoo. Probably grades out as the best option across all 3 sites. The Dodgers, on the other hand, are much more important to me. They are getting some ownership, as they should. Jock Peterson leading off, one of my favorite bats of the day. You can talk me into quite a bit of Corey Seager. 3,100 on FanDuel, 4,300 on DraftKings, $18 on Yahoo. Cody Bellinger is only $25 on Yahoo. I mean, I know that's a pretty big price tag for a hitter there, but I don't have much of an issue going to him. I just want to stack up a lot of these Dodgers lefties. Hell, I might even get to Max Muncy, and I hate that dude.
Yeah, you do. Walker doesn't allow a ton of home runs, a ton of power.
No.
He's always been one of those guys that I don't love to play, and I don't like to pick on very much either. You know, he pitched 89 innings last year and allowed only 9 home runs. He did a decent job of preventing it, but he also is not going to get a ton of strikeouts. He will walk a lot of batters and get a decent amount of ground balls too. But when it comes to these price points on some of the Dodgers, it's going to be difficult to get away from them.
Yeah.
Especially on FanDuel. So for me, it's a price play against a very average pitcher, and I'm all right with the Dodgers. Yeah.
Yeah, the price tags are really nice on these guys. There's just a lot of upside, highly variant.
Yep.
So much power from Jock or Bellinger, Seager,
sure.
Pollock, Turner. All these guys Muncy, Kike, all these guys can go yard. So if it goes wrong for Waka, I'm just betting on talent here instead of against Waka.
No doubt. I'm with you on that one.
It got me with the how dare you in premium Slack. He's a Muncy truther. Can't get there.
Not everyone can.
Yeah. Final game of the early slate: Royals and Mariners. 5-run implied total for the Royals, 5.5 for the Mariners. There's a 55% chance to win for Seattle. Jorge Lopez going for KC. Mike Leake going for Seattle. No one getting any real ownership here from a pitching perspective. Mike Leake at 7%. These guys grade out as, I don't know, 2 of the worst pitching plays of the day. Mike Leake way too expensive on FanDuel. He's 7,300 on DraftKings, not really getting much love. Lopez literally projected for 0% ownership. By far the worst play of the day. Do you want to play any Mike Leake? Because I can't imagine you're playing any Lopez.
No, I'm good on both of these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time last year where Mike Leake became a thing. And, that's kind of let everyone else have Mike Leake and we can go elsewhere. Right. This guy, so this season, right, he's made what, 2 starts, is it? 2 starts, and he actually hasn't looked terrible.
We just got the Mariners lineup.
Yeah, I saw that. Go ahead.
I just want to make sure there weren't any. Tom Murphy is catching instead of Narvaez.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. League's fastball is 79 miles per hour this year. 79.
I have thrown that fastball in my life.
Yeah. Aaron Altair was sitting on 90 yesterday, which, by the way, I did tweet this out. If you want to see a couple really, I posted a video of him getting a swinging strikeout. It was actually pretty nasty stuff for a outfielder, for a reserve outfielder. Pretty fun to watch. Outside of the fact that they got absolutely just what a pathetic game, and that pitching staff's garbage. But that's neither here nor there because we have to get through another slate. So with Leake, you have the cutter, the slider, the changeup, and then he throws a whole lot of that 2-seamer. The question is, can he get the swings and misses? His slider has actually been a pitch that gets a decent amount of whiffs. Are they going to be there today? Maybe. Is he worth that price point? Probably not. I think the biggest thing with Mike Leake is how does he do it preventing stolen bases? Because we saw yesterday that they clearly thought Kikuchi was going to cough up a lot of stolen bases. Leake has done a great job over the past couple of years of preventing them. But, if you have guys running wild on you, it's going to make your life a living hell. And the lineup that they ran out yesterday was, we have the Royals lineup. I was thinking we didn't have it. They have Gore in there, no Hamilton, right? But Merrifield, Mondesi. Gore made some amazing plays in the field and on the base paths yesterday. Yeah,
He's not going to make any amazing plays at the plate. 52 weighted runs created plus via steamer and a .063 ISO.
Yep.
He ain't making anything happen at the plate.
He tripled yesterday. He tripled. He was 3 for 4 with a triple and a double, bro. Oh yeah, I'm saying Terrence Gore did it all.
Yeah.
He had a triple. He was a home run shy of the cycle.
Well, he's probably not going to get that anytime soon unless it's inside the park.
No, of course he's not a good hitter. That's what, dude. Someone with his type of speed has been relegated to a pinch runner for his career. That tells you something.
Yeah.
But no, I like. I have no problem with these Kansas City bats. I'm not totally unwilling to roster Mike Leake in spots, but I don't love this matchup for him. Now I will. This is the last thing I'll say on this though, Josh. The guys that are getting high projected ownership are like Bundy, even Waka's higher, Sonny Gray, very, very high ownership projected. Mike Leake's at 7%. That does make me at least take a second look at it, because he has been getting swinging strikes. He has been missing bats. He has a 10% swinging strike rate so far this year. Will it last? I don't know, but he's getting swinging strikes and misses on the slider, and he doesn't really throw the curveball that much, but a few of his other secondary pitches are getting some swings and misses. That's as much as I can say for him.
Well, if anybody's going to swing and miss, it might be these Royals. Royals and Mariners both projected for 24% strikeouts in this game, weighted by plate appearances. There's just a ton of swing and miss. Now that they took Narvaez out of this lineup and put in Tom Murphy for the Mariners, Murphy projects to gain 36% of his plate appearances this season. It's a pretty high rate.
Yep. I will point out.
I can see one of these guys getting there because they're the strikeouts are available, but neither one of these guys are particularly good at.
I'll also point out that Narvaez last year allowed the second most stolen bases behind only Jonathan Lucroy. 87 successful swipes against Narvaez last year, so him not being behind the plate is noticeable for runners on the other side.
Yeah, that's very important. For bats, I'd say that Mondesi grades out as my favorite across all three sites. Soler looks pretty good on Yahoo for $15. On the Mariners side, probably Malik Smith, one of my faves out of anybody. And then it's really just not that appealing. It's crazy to me that they have such a high run total because I'm having trouble getting to these guys. They don't stack well. Anytime the lineup is going to go outfield, first base, really hard to wrap in with other teams. Right.
And honestly, you talk about how bad of a hitter Gore is. I get that, but he is so fast that I'm happy to roster him when he's in the lineup, just not batting ninth, because it's again makes if you wanted to stack like a wraparound, 9 through 3 or whatever. But Gore's also only outfield eligible, so what are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
It makes it tough. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So yeah, I don't mind these Kansas City bats, but the Seattle bats on the other side, I have some interest in, just because Lopez does not generate any strikeouts. He is, he gets a decent amount of ground balls, but nothing incredible, and he will give up some home runs. So this is, I think, a decent spot here for a Mariners team that's been really hitting quite well.
A lot more pop for the Mariners than the Royals, so I think they are a little bit more interesting.
Right. So they're tied for the highest total on the slate at 5.3.
I can't. It kind of shocks me. This strikes me as the type of game, and we could see it could be a little bit different for Seattle, but I see this getting to that run total a lot more on like singles and doubles than homers, and really like breaking it out.
Oh, I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
Okay.
Mariners have some pop though.
They do. Yeah, they do. Encarnacion for sure. Vogelbach, that's like the only thing he can do.
Mitch Haniger's got plenty of power too.
Healy too.
Yeah, I mean the power's there.
Yeah.
It's just, will it come to fruition against Lopez? I think it's possible.
Okay. There we go. That's the early slate. Buckle up. We're going to rip through this main slate as well. A little bit less detail since we'll have the Live Before Lock show up later tonight.
And we don't have any lineups, so.
Correct. But we do want to touch on the main slate as well. So let me switch to that. We do have ownership for the main slate, so we could pop that in as well.
I have a back itch on a spot on my back that I can't reach.
The worst.
Never fun.
The worst. Did I close the wrong one? Nope.
Need to find the corner of a wall.
All right, let me grab ownership and then we're ready.
Back scratcher.
DraftKings in. FanDuel in. Red Sox are chalk.
Go for it here.
And that's what we're leading off with. Main slate. Let's see, where are we at? 1 hour on the dot, basically. So that will be with that little timestamp in for everybody trying to find the break point if you just want to hear the main slate coverage. Red Sox and Blue Jays, 5.5 run implied total for the Sox, 4 run implied total for the Jays, 64% chance to win for Boston. Nathan Eovaldi going for the Red Sox, Aaron Sanchez going for the Blue Jays. Sanchez getting no ownership whatsoever. Can't see any reason why he should. Really, really difficult matchup. Red Sox highest implied total on the slate. They don't strike out all that often. It's just terrifying for Sanchez, and that's why he's not getting any ownership from the public or from me. Eovaldi, on the other hand, 22% expected ownership on FanDuel, 31 on DraftKings. I am a big fan of Eovaldi in this spot. He is my most exposed pitcher so far. How do you feel about Eovaldi?
Let me start with Sanchez, if you don't mind.
Ooh, okay.
I'm not playing him, but I just wanted to. When Sanchez is healthy, he is the epitome of a pitcher that you never roster and really don't have a lot of fun rostering guys against him. Reason being that a healthy Aaron Sanchez does a couple things really well. One of them, Josh, is he can generate a ton of ground balls. That hasn't been the case this season yet, right? And I don't know if he's going to get back to seeing, 50%, around 50% ground balls. In 2015 and 16, when he was mostly healthy, he was a 60 and 55% ground ball pitcher. 2014, he was a 66% ground ball pitcher. So it's yet to be seen. I wanted to say, okay, what about his pitch mix? Well, he's still throwing a lot of that sinker, not a lot of four seamer whatsoever. His pitch mix would tell you he's getting a lot of ground balls here. Obviously, Boston with the highest total on the slate, and Aaron Sanchez is not a guy that I'm interested in rostering. He's just always been someone that has done a ridiculous job of preventing home runs, even if he's allowing base runners and even if he looks terrible out there. I just want your thoughts on that because, honestly, no matter how you cut it, it's true. 0.81 home runs per 9 for his career, 54% ground ball rate for his career. The truth is these are generally guys that we don't like stacking against.
No, that's a really good point. It does give me a little bit of pause. But ultimately the run total kind of just leads me to where I need to be. It makes me a little nervous that they can't really put together the big stuff that you need to be the slate altering stack.
Right. And I'm not saying they can't.
Sure. Again, there's crazy talent at the top of the Red Sox order.
And it's at Fenway, but he has been good at limiting power. And it's not like we don't have a sample size on it, I have 469 career innings pitched. And he has not allowed a lot of power at all. So
I've always wanted him to be good, but it just never happened.
I hear you. Eovaldi, what more is there to say, right? Toronto is just not good.
They strike out a ton.
They just strike out so much. Right now, only the Marlins are striking out at a higher rate than the Blue Jays against right-handed pitching. The Blue Jays' isolated power is right now 21%, or 21 out of 30. Sorry, ranked 21st in the league. It's 151 ISO. And then they're weighted on base average 262 against righties, only better than the Indians and Giants. So really, when you just look at this team as a whole, you could get the look at their WRC plus as well, and that's 26th. Good games can happen to any team on any day, but if there was ever a spot for Eovaldi to get back on track, you would certainly think that he has every opportunity to do so today against this Toronto team, even if it's at Fenway. His swinging strike rate's at 6% through his first two starts.
Not great.
But he's faced Oakland and Seattle, two teams that are just blowing the laces off the ball. So I think this could definitely be a nice get right spot for Eovaldi.
Yeah, I'm gonna have quite a bit of Eovaldi. 6,800 on FanDuel is just too cheap. He should not be He should not be the eighth most. He's 8 of 9 today. The only guy below him is Jeff Samardzija because Pedro Avila is not available on FanDuel.
I agree with that. It's tough.
Yeah, so I will definitely be getting to crazy amounts of Eovaldi today. I can't really avoid it.
Nope, I'm cool with it.
On the bat side, I love the Red Sox. It's hard not to at least want to have some of them. They are the chalk stack on both sites. I don't totally want to get to that much. Again, they're a team that I likely get more as 2 and 3 man stacks, just because so much of their true talent lies in 3 guys that all play outfield. But I like getting 2 of the 3 in all sorts of different combinations. I will be underweight on the Red Sox, but I will still be pretty highly exposed. I kind of like getting to more Blue Jays just as the hedge. It's a weird balance having Eovaldi, but you can do both things in MLB. So I like this game from an offense perspective. It's not like Eovaldi isn't prone to getting tagged here. Some of these guys on the Jays, Teoscar, Smoke, Grichuk, Tellez, real legitimate power. They can change the game in a swing, and they are incredibly cheap to roster. So I end up getting to them more than I would have expected.
I'm not against that at all, and I'll tell you a couple of reasons just to add on to what you were saying. Number one, Fenway Park, man, is a great hitter's park, right? So that's your number one. The Blue Jays have not provided us with much this season, but like you just said, it's not as if they can't. They're not the Marlins where they're not hitting for power because they just don't have any. No, they do have power. There is power in this lineup. And then another reason, it's funny, a lot of really good offensive teams this year have struggled with the bullpen, which has really killed them. Look at the Phillies. They're still 7-4, but there's 2 or 3 games that actually 3 of 4 losses for the Phillies. It's because of the bullpen. The Washington Nationals, potent offense, bullpen has been garbage. Rosenthal finally got himself an ERA yesterday. And then how about
somebody posted the screenshot and it was 108 or something.
189.
Is that what it was?
After his first out, 189, yeah.
I remember it being big round numbers.
Yep, it was unbelievable. But how about Boston, though? How about Boston? The Red Sox have their pitching has just blown up several times. If you look at their xFIP and their bullpen ERA, it's been really low, but the team has given up a lot of runs pitching. I mean, regardless of where they're coming from, the Boston Red Sox have given up just a ton of runs this season, which is very uncharacteristic. But is it something that continues today? We'll see. They've kind of locked it down a bit more lately, but you look at these run totals: 6, 6, 10, 7, 7, 15, 5, 7. It's pretty wild, man. It really is.
Yeah, I really like the righty power here. Much better ballpark for righty power than lefty power. So Betts, Martinez, Bogarts. Not that I'm telling you guys anything you don't already know. We're just naming all-stars. So
yeah. And I should correct myself. I did think the Red Sox bullpen had been worse to start the season, just because of the runs. Most of this must be coming from the starters, because their bullpen's been pretty good, at least better than average. So maybe
Yeah.
have their starters been that bad?
Maybe.
I don't know. That's crazy.
I like having a lot of exposure to this game. That's where I'm at right now.
I'm with you.
I'll be over the field on the Jays, I think, and under on the Red Sox.
Yeah, Red Sox team ERA is the fifth highest in the entire league.
Shout
It's
out
gotta
Chris
be coming.
Sale.
Yeah, it's gotta be coming from the starters. Oh, whatever. I'm with you though. Toronto bats here. My guess is Eovaldi is pretty popular. What do we have him at right now?
31 on DK, 22 on FanDuel.
It just seems like a pretty opportune spot to get away from that. And I'm not saying that Eovaldi's a bad play because you'll probably have a decent amount of him too, but going to the opposite side of that's pretty unique. When my guess is this game's gonna, the field's gonna be so heavy on Boston pitching and Boston hitting, while everyone ignores Toronto. But hey, they have a good hitting environment too.
Public has almost 3 times as much Boston as they do Toronto on DraftKings.
Right. It's going to be cold
and
at Fenway.
And 3 times legit on FanDuel.
Wow. It's going to be cold at Fenway, but that's the only knock on hitting.
Yeah. Moving on.
Let's do it.
Braves and Mets. 4.4 run implied total for the Braves, 4.1 for the Mets. It's a 54% chance to win for Atlanta. Kevin Gausman going for the Braves. Steven Matz going for the Mets. I think that you and I and Adam are all Kevin Gausman truthers.
Yep.
Okay. 26% expected ownership on DK, just 8 on FanDuel. He's the second most expensive pitcher today. I like him. He's just kind of priced where he should be. The matchup is fine. They have like an average projection for strikeouts coming from New York. It's hard for me to get super excited about it. He's just there. Whatever I get of Kevin Gausman, I get. It's not a priority for me. And then for Matz, I don't really have much interest.
Matz is just somebody that I really very rarely have any interest in playing, especially against this Atlanta team that's not going to strike out. Gausman, on the other hand, I think 75 is fine. I mean, I paid $9K for him last start.
Yeah, like he's the second cheapest pitcher on DK today, and he's the second most expensive pitcher on FanDuel.
Right.
Tale of 2 different sites.
Oh, when you said he's reasonable or accurately priced, I thought you were talking DraftKings because I think he's too cheap on DraftKings.
He's way too cheap on DraftKings.
Like I willingly and perfect. Like I had no problem paying $9K for him because it was against Miami, mind you. I'm not paying $9K for Gausman against Philly or against Washington, but in good enough spots, I'm happy to do so. He is. Now, one big thing for me is that I want to see Tyler Flowers behind the plate. McCann is out. I can't be having Alex Jackson behind the plate. Gausman needs a good pitch framer and someone that can call a good game. It's made a huge difference for him over the years. In Baltimore, when it was Wellington Castillo, he was garbage. When it was Caleb Joseph, he was way better.
Yeah.
And this is something that we've seen for a while when it comes to Kevin Gausman, and it's something that to me it means a lot. So keep that in mind. I'm not saying it has to mean a lot to you, but it probably should. The Mets are striking out at a pretty high clip, and I will probably just continue to go back to Gausman here at that price. 26.1% K rate for the Mets this year. It's 6th highest in the league against righties in 283 plate appearances. Again, a small sample, but there are strikeouts in this lineup. Brandon Nimmo has been striking out at a ridiculous clip. So, yep, Gausman to me very much in play here.
Yeah, he's my second favorite DraftKings pitcher behind Eovaldi, relative to price.
Oh, he's my second favorite, but it's not behind Eovaldi.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who in a minute.
Okay. Very different on both sites. For the bats, Braves are a little popular. I have no issue with it. Ozzie Albies against a lefty is fantastic. He grades out really well for me. Great across all sites. Getting to like Albies, Donaldson, Acuna is a really fun stack, but it's also a really popular stack. I don't have a ton of interest in the rest of the Braves. On the Mets side, I do like the top of the order. Nimmo, Cano, Conforto. I think they grade out really well. They're relatively easy to stack, plus getting Cano at second base makes it a little bit more appealing. I would say that Nimmo is probably my favorite hitter across all three sites. Just $11 on Yahoo, very underpriced for a guy that's projecting to lead off. So Nimmo's a guy that I would really recommend from New York, even with the K's. But I'm not super crazy about this game.
You'll rarely get much pushback from me when it comes to stacking against Gausman.
Yeah.
But like right now, we haven't projected to have lower ownership than 4 pitchers. To me, at that price, I would think he'd be a whole lot more popular. And if he was, then I'd be on a lot more Mets. But no, I'd rather go to Gausman here, and the Mets, just as a way to leverage against a bunch of Gausman ownership, which is generally terrifying. The Mets will come into play. But hey, look, he comes in his first start of the season. His velocity was down a little bit, but that is zero concern. That'll come back up. Especially with these guys making their first start of the year, and he was coming off the IL or whatever they're calling it these days. So yeah, he threw that splitter an insane amount and got 41% whiffs per swing on it. It's a good pitch, and it's helped him out a whole lot. I'd rather go to Gausman, but I understand what you're saying with the Mets bats. I like Atlanta bats though. I mean, Albies against righties or against lefties is really appealing.
Yeah.
Don't forget about Johan Camargo if he's in the lineup against lefties. He hits them really well too. And then of course Ronald Acuna. So the righty bats in this lineup, and Tyler Flowers. Catcher's been a very bad position. I think Flowers would make for a very good play. And in a very small sample last year, he murdered lefties.
Yeah. He's always been pretty good against lefties. I would have no problem using him as my catcher on DK in a Braves stack.
I'm with you.
Cubbies and Pirates. Cubs 4.8 run implied total. Pirates 4.2. It's a 56% chance to win for the Cubs. Jose Quintana going for Chicago. Joe Musgrove going for Pittsburgh. Quintana getting quite a bit of ownership, 16% on FanDuel, 31 on DraftKings. Not as much going to Joe Musgrove. Musgrove, the second most expensive pitcher on DraftKings. I don't get the sense that he should be owned all that much. He is the most expensive pitcher on FanDuel. I am not really getting to him there either. Quintana, on the other hand, relatively cheap on FanDuel. Grades out okay for me. I still prefer Eovaldi, but I have no problem getting to Quintana on FanDuel or DK. But 31% on DraftKings that's a lot.
Yeah, look at that price point on the Muskrat. That is crazy.
Yeah.
$9K? $9,000? Hey,
Musgrove.
Musgrove's not a bad pitcher, but he's purely a control pitcher.
Right.
And maybe we'll see some adjustments made this year that help him get more strikeouts. His swinging strike rate over the past couple of seasons has been high. It's 15.3% to start this year. I definitely don't dislike what I'm seeing from Joe Musgrove, and he doesn't have bad stuff. He never did. But that's pricey, man. That's a lot to ask for with Musgrove against the Chicago Cubs, nonetheless. We don't have a total here yet, unless let me refresh here. It's at Wrigley, so it usually takes.
Yeah, I gave it a 9 total, but we didn't have it in the morning, or we didn't have it when I woke up.
I don't see it. Wrigley Field,
it could be higher than that.
Yeah, it could. Let's see.
Well, if it's a lot higher than that, I don't understand how Quintana gets to 31. So that's why I feel kind of comfortable about 9.
Right. It's going to be 59 degrees with winds blowing cross field from first to third base. So pretty neutral conditions there.
Let's see we do have a total now. It's 10.
10?
Yep.
Okay. Interesting. Like, just again, though, with Musgrove, good stuff. Nothing insane. He's not a high 90s. He's not a flamethrower. He's just a control pitcher in every sense, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to get a lot of fastball slider from him, and then he can mix in that changeup against opposite-handed bats, which have gotten pretty decent results. I guess we'll have to wait and see how much of the strikeout stuff is for real. My guess is that he settles in to be like an 8K per 9 guy, which isn't terrible, but probably not something I'm looking to pay that much for against the Cubs today either.
Yeah, I'm going to end up with a lot less Quintana now if that line really ends up sticking around at 10. That's just too much. Cubs 5.3 run implied total, Pirates 4.7 in this case.
I don't care much about the lines, honestly. I use them as a baseline to see like what we're looking at, but I don't know. Don't you think these pitchers and lineups better? I'm not saying better than Vegas,
Yeah,
but
where do you think my answer is going to land here?
well, what?
Because I don't think I do.
No. Listen, here's what I'm saying. When you see like a 4.5 total, and you think you like a pitcher, but the opposing team has like a 4.5 total. Yeah, 4.5 is higher than the 3.5 you're going to see against, name a good pitcher, Trevor Bauer or whatever. But it's not like some astronomical number. That doesn't push me totally away from a pitcher if I see, oh man, they're like, okay, for example, Gossman's got a 4.4 implied total against him. He had a 4. That to me, I see that, I'm like, okay, whatever, I don't care, because I know that Gossman can get blown up, but I also know that Gossman has good enough stuff to come out there and throw 7 scoreless with 8 Ks. So when I'm playing guys like him, the implied total means less to me because I know that they're the type of guys that can get blown up or they can just go out there and shut an entire team down. That's all I'm saying here. I just don't think Quintana is that good, so I wouldn't have had much interest anyway.
For a large in a large part, I agree because the swings aren't that huge. I use the Vegas totals as a base in everything that I do to allocate points for runs and RBIs to hitters so that they equal whatever the Vegas total is at.
Sure.
Similarly, for pitching, I use the portion of the runs to allocate those as earned runs to the starting pitcher. So that's how I use that as my base. But when I'm calculating out my percentage chances of hitting that certain target threshold, that doesn't really have anything to do with the Vegas total. It's more about my projected line. So guys can not grade out all that well because of the Vegas total, but still grade out as like higher upside guys because they have the stuff to back it up.
Yeah, and that's
it's different
all I'm
for me in pitching than hitting. In hitting, I think it's really, really important. In pitching, I find it less so.
I've just found that like a lot of times the stacks that are doing the best are the ones that are off the radar and that have lower totals. Not all the time, of course. Oakland has been great, Seattle and stuff, but like I guess what I'm saying is just because a team has a lower total, does that mean that you won't stack them if they fit nicely? And
nope.
No, right. And I know that because you were on Baltimore last week and they had a very low total. So
right.
I know where you're going with that. Like I said, I definitely use it as a baseline. Like it's one of the first things I look at. It's just not the deciding factor for me. It's not the end all be all. I think there's so many other things that go into it. And especially in this day and age where you're playing for upside because the scores are so high, it means less when I know that I'm playing someone that can get rocked or can just be lights out.
Yeah. I think people get confused in that because baseball is so high, such a high variance sport, that the variety in what you can do in the run total is somehow less important.
Right.
That's not the right way to look at it. It's still going to be the most accurate predictor of how many runs we think a team is going to score in that given game. It's going to be more accurate than anything that anybody looks at over the course of the season. But when you start looking at it on an individual day and an individual matchup, of course there's going to be wild swings. This is the most variant sport that exists.
Of course.
Yeah, it can be both things.
Look, again, all I'm saying is don't let it be the sole reason that you do or don't play somebody.
Yep, 100%. 100%. Because no matter what that line is, again, everybody's getting the same amount of potential opportunity.
Right. And that's, again, why I'm saying it's not that I'm saying we know it better than Vegas. Of course not. However, Vegas, what we're doing and what Vegas is doing are to a large extent different when it comes to tournaments, right? Like you can't just be on all of the high total teams and all of the low total pitchers every single day without looking further and deeper into the guys that might not pop on when you're looking at the run.
100%. I know we got to get moving here. I love the Cubs bats. I'm twice the field on them right now. I love the 1 through 5 spot down to Schwarber if he is in the lineup, which I would expect him to be. I like them across all 3 sites. I think they're all priced really nicely. As for the Pirates, I'm not super interested outside of Starling Marte across all 3 sites.
I like Cervelli too. He's $3,200 on a site like DraftKings where you have to play a catcher, and pricing wise, they have been too much recently. So I definitely think that looking at someone like him against the left-hander who has been prone to giving up some home runs to righties makes sense. Cervelli on Yahoo is $10 too. So, and you have to play a catcher on Yahoo. Those are both good prices and spots that I'm not afraid to go to at all.
Perfect. I'm with you on Cervelli, by the way. I so rarely think about catchers because of playing predominantly on FanDuel that it always just slips my mind.
I know. Oh, I know, but you got to on DraftKings and Yahoo.
Right.
We don't have a choice. It sucks, but
that's why I'm glad you're on the show with me to point out catchers.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful.
Let's get through these last 2 real quick. Diamondbacks and Padres, 4.5 run implied total for the D-backs, 4.3 for the Padres. Zach Godley against Pedro Avila. Avila not available on the FanDuel slate. At least if he is, then he's got a really different name that I haven't been able to figure out. Zach Godley, 15% expected ownership on FanDuel, 26% expected ownership on DraftKings. I'm not super fond of Godley on either site. I got 4% of him on FanDuel, so I'll have a little bit. He looks a little bit better on DK for me than he does on FanDuel. If this game were in San Diego, it might be a little bit different of a story. So if I get to some Godley, I'm cool with it, but I'm not really too worried about pitching here.
Yeah, look, I don't blame you. I do think there will be strikeouts here, though. And, the Padres against righties are much more inclined to strike out than they are against lefties. Like we've seen that be the case for a while now. Now, they have not been striking out at a very high clip this season, but I expect at least against right-handers for that to change enough to where they are a good enough matchup from a strikeout standpoint. You go back to last season against righties, the Padres striking out, I think at a relatively low rate against righties. But the question I have here is, how does Zach Godley fare when it comes to this curveball? Because that's the pitch that he relies on. When that's working, when he's getting swings and misses on that pitch, everything really comes together for him. And the Padres have actually been an above average team against the pitch going back to last year. Take that with a grain of salt. A whole lot more goes into it than that. But I don't know. I want to like Zach Godley here, Josh, but he's just shown there's just so much sketchiness when it comes to him. A couple of years ago, I loved him. I thought his stuff was really good. He fell off though, and I'm not sure what to make of Zach Godley anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he only projects for an 8.4 K per 9 from Steamer, 4.22 FIP. He's just like average. So I'm going to treat him like he's average and not have nearly that much of him. I actually love the Padres bats. They're one of my highest exposed stacks. I think actually second.
Interesting.
Yes. No, I am wrong. First. I have more Padres. Right? I have more Padres as a stack than any other team right now.
Wow. Okay.
So Kinsler, Hosmer, Machado are 1, 2, 3. That's second base, first base, third base. Machado under 4K. The other 2 guys under 3K. They're hyper cheap, and they're hitting positions that make them way easier to stack on FanDuel than in other sites. So they are really easy for me to get into 4-man stacks. And I'm not knocking down their bats all that much because Zach Godley is not that great. Like, I don't think Kinsler is a fantastic hitter. He projects as a below average hitter, but a lot of that gets made up for by the fact that he's going to lead off. If Ian Kinsler were hitting 7th today, I'd probably have very little of him. But you can get by on a garbagey hitter if you think that he is going to get the most plate appearances out of anybody on the team. And that's what happens when you lead off.
I'm with you. No, it makes sense to me. Look, Godley does get a lot of grounders and doesn't give up a lot of power. He
Sure.
walks. The walk rate for him is problematic, and then he just labors through innings and can't go deep into games. So Godley is a weird pitcher to stack against here, but I think your point is a good one. That when you're talking about the pricing on these San Diego bats, you're just getting really good pricing, and it makes it easier to play them. I don't have an implied total for San Diego.
The total for the game is 9 with some shading on the under, so it's probably like 8.9 or 8.8, which is what I put in. So I have 4.5 Diamondbacks, 4.3 Padres.
That makes sense. I'm not playing Pedro Avila.
I'm not playing Diamondbacks bats.
Okay.
I don't have anybody more than 2% on FanDuel.
Nobody?
Nope.
All right.
On DraftKings, you could probably talk me into some David Peralta, but that's more of a one-off.
For me, I mean, I'll keep playing David Peralta, and Escobar. I have no problems with him either. But that would be it for me. Pedro Avila is an interesting one. I mean, I'm assuming you don't know much about this guy either.
8.3 Ks per 9 via steamer, a 4.2 walk rate, and a 4.5 FIP. He seems to be a guy.
Yep. And
didn't do too much digging after that.
I mean, that's pretty much all I was looking at as well. Don't know a ton about him. He's a righty, though.
Yeah, he is. I can get this to load quickly. He's 22, projects for an average fastball, potentially a plus curveball plus change. Not the best command guy in the world. He's probably just a little early for this, if I had to guess.
I would think so too.
9.8 Ks per 9 last year in high A for the Padres, so I don't get the sense that there's going to be a ton of stuff translating unless something changed.
Peralta and Escobar are just priced really nicely. I like them both.
Yeah, no issue there. Escobar on DraftKings way more appealing because he has third base shortstop eligibility.
Yep. And he's $38 or $3,800.
Yeah. All right, let's close this out quickly. Giants and Rockies. Giants 3.5 run implied total. Rockies 3.9. 54% chance to win for the Rockies. Jeff Samardzija going for San Francisco. John Gray going for Colorado. Samardzija, cheapest pitcher you can get on FanDuel. He's $7,500 on DK. Projecting for 27% ownership on DraftKings. Can't imagine wanting to play Jeff Samardzija in the same amount of time that I would play Kevin Gausman, yet here we are. That's where the public lies. John Gray, projected for 25% ownership on FanDuel. He is the chalk option there. He is the most expensive pitcher on DraftKings. 38% expected ownership, chalk option on DraftKings. John Gray is the best pitcher, I would say, on this main slate. Don't have any issue rostering him up here. The only concern is the Giants don't strike out all that much.
Chalk John Gray is scary. He is a guy, look, anyone that's been watching the deeper dive for a while or whatever knows that I've been a truther on a few guys and took some heat for a few of them, but I'm happy to say now that that has turned around. Blake Snell and Tyler Glass now being two of them. Not terrible results. John Gray's another one, and he has kind of proven me wrong and right and wrong and right and wrong again over the past, year and a half. But we both agree that he's got really good stuff. And he's, a mid to high 90s thrower. He's got a number of pitches that can get you to swing out of your shoes on the slider and the curve. 40+% whiff per swing rates on both of these pitches, Josh. Sitting 95, 96 miles per hour on the four-seamer. I mean, what's there not to like about him outside of the fact that he has been very unpredictable and he is going to be super, super popular. But I will say, when you look at this San Francisco lineup, there are a lot more strikeouts for the Giants against righties than there are against lefties. I'm not saying that this team is going to strike out at a ridiculous clip against righties, because they're not. But they don't strike out much against lefties whatsoever. So that would be the one little advantage here. And, of course, Oracle Park is a great place for pitchers. So he's going to be popular. I still like John Gray, though, just because we know his ceiling is pretty immense. Like, he could give you 11, 12 strikeouts, and I wouldn't bat an eye.
Yeah, for sure. He has the second highest strikeout projection for me today. I'm just happy to get to some Gray, especially in this ballpark. I am not getting to any Giants bats. I have very, very little interest there, even with trying to get hedge stacks. I am getting to some Colorado, in particular, Charlie Blackmon leading off, 3,700 on FanDuel, 4,400 on DraftKings, $19 on Yahoo. He would be my favorite bat out of the Colorado side, but no problems going to Arenado or Story. It's just a really not advantageous place to hit, but I do like it because Jeff Samardzija is not that good anymore.
Nope. And, this is a guy in Samardzija who just a few years ago was throwing 95, 96. He's down to 91, 92. I mean, that's not going to help him at all. Just overall, when you look at his stuff, he doesn't have much left, Josh.
No.
And, at that price point, I get the park, I get the venue, that's good and all. But do you really need to go there? It is crazy. I mean, Colorado has a 3.9 total. It's the lowest, second lowest behind only the Giants. But I don't know what Samardzija can possibly give you here. His command has been all over the place for a couple of years now. And even if he gets strikeouts, the guy barely is capable of getting through 5 innings.
Yeah, I just don't expect him to be out there long enough. He popped up a lot for me in my first draft. That won't continue as we move on here.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it, right? Like, I
don't understand 27% on DraftKings.
Is that what he's projected at?
He's projected for a percent higher than Kevin Gausman.
Yep.
That's just silly.
I think just give me Gausman over Samardzija all day. One reason.
Yeah.
Ceiling. Like, his ceiling is significantly higher, and we know that.
Yeah. I'd rather have Quintana, and I don't even think he's very good.
All right. I'm not a Quintana guy, but I get your point. Like, Samardzija is not going to give you reliable production, and I don't really see the upside either.
Same. Well, there we go. 10 games up, 10 games down, 2 full slates. We got it. If
that was basketball, we'd probably be going till noon.
Yeah, sorry about that D'Angelo Russell stuff.
Actually,
out of here 15
quite
minutes
enjoyable.
Ago. I enjoy it. Thank you for joining us. Hit the like button on your way out the door. Very helpful. Also subscribe so you can get notifications when we go live. Live before lock tonight, myself and Chris Spags. No deeper dive tonight. We've got some stuff going on. Not going to be able to get that show out, but they will be back. The boys will be back tomorrow, closing out the week. Tune into everything. Thank you to Yahoo for sponsoring the show, sponsoring all sorts of stuff for us moving forward. So thank you to those guys. MLB Strategy. It's going to take me a little bit to get that one off the tip of my tongue. MLB Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month. Anything else, Loppy?
That'll do it, man. Thanks for tuning in. As always, good luck this afternoon, this night. And I'll be back tomorrow on the deeper dive.
There you go, everybody. Good luck.
And tune in to SiriusXM Fantasy, Awesome Radio, Saturday, Sunday.
There you go.
3 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. Going to be a good show.
There we go. Best of luck, everybody. We will talk to you later. D'Angelo Russell's trash.